Hello, I'm Bob Schieffer, and welcome to the CBS Evening News online edition. Just ahead, we'll have a first look at some of the areas hardest hit along the Gulf Coast by Hurricane Rita as millions of evacuees begin to head home. Also, there is an undeclared civil war happening in Iraq. We'll have the inside story. Plus, the latest controversy over intelligent design. It's all starting now on the CBS Evening News online edition. Texas Governor Rick Perry put it this way: as bad as it could have been, we came out of this in pretty good shape. And when you look at the path that Hurricane Rita took, you can see what the governor meant. Those areas marked in red show the big population centers, and the hurricane literally went between them. Had it veered left or right, there is no way to know how much worse it would have been. One thing's for sure, in the lesser populated areas where it did hit, the storm was devastating. One of those places is Cameron, Louisiana, and John Blackstone was one of the first to get in there today.
Isolated and ruined, Cameron, Louisiana is cut off from the world. This may well be the place that Rita hit hardest.
Approaching Cameron from the air, about the only hint there was once a town here, the water tower that miraculously is still standing.
Between the wind and the storm surge, just about nothing else was spared. In other places, Rita may have been milder than expected. Not here. Pete Pico, who's lived in Cameron Parish all his life, gave us a tour of what used to be Main Street.
This right here was the sheriff's substation. This right here was a lawyer's office. This right here was a little apartment complex. Next to it was a bar.
The FEMA search and rescue team that arrived in Cameron today just finished Hurricane Katrina duty. The destruction here seemed all too familiar.
Take a look at this town. You can see why it's a good idea to get out when they call for evacuation.
Oh, absolutely. I think we're learning a lot of lessons not to be complacent with the weather anymore.
The search is just a precaution. No one has been reported missing.
Destruction's terrible and everybody lost everything they own, but we didn't lose a life. That's what counts.
Fewer than 10,000 people live in Cameron Parish, and most all evacuated as Rita approached. Now the roads back are blocked, ruined, or flooded, and there's precious little to come back to. But already the first steps toward cleanup have started, and the local sheriff is optimistic. Can Cameron Parish come back from this?
Oh, heck yeah, we can. In 1957, we had a little problem, but we came back from it.
In 1957, Hurricane Audrey roared along the same path as Rita. Audrey flattened or flooded most everything in Cameron. 390 people were killed. That was before there was enough warning to evacuate. Of all the destruction in Cameron Parish, one community on the coast presents perhaps the saddest sight. Holly Beach, once home to 150, has been completely washed away. Not even the ruins remain.
Now, the difficulty of getting to Cameron will make the job of recovery all the more challenging. A place that likes to call itself Louisiana's Outback is now just about blown right off the map.
John, what was it like for you personally to go into a place like that? I would suspect most people are not quite as blasé as that man who said, oh, we had a little problem back in '57 when 300 and some odd people died.
Well, they've been through it before, and now we've seen so much of this kind of destruction. You know, unfortunately, it was almost what we've come to expect when I went into that town today.
Okay, thank you very much, John. In Iraq today, 3 more American soldiers died in roadside bombings, but U.S. officials told CBS News the country's number 2 al-Qaeda leader was killed during a raid in Baghdad. He is the most senior member of al-Qaeda in Iraq killed so far, the Army says. But south of the capital today, the gunman entered a school and killed 5 Shiite teachers, leaving Sunni school children unharmed. Such attacks are thought to be part of an insurgent campaign to stoke civil war in Iraq, and Laura Logan has the inside story.
Behind the blood and chaos of the insurgents' bombs, there is an undeclared civil war already underway in Iraq, between the Sunni minority who ruled this country under Saddam and the Shiite majority. A secret, ruthless cleansing of the country's towns and cities. Bodies, blindfolded, bound and executed, just appear, like the rotting corpses of these 36 Sunni men that turned up in a dry riverbed south of Baghdad. CBS News traced 16 of those men to a single street in this Baghdad suburb. Family members showed us how the killers forced their way into their homes in the middle of the night and dragged away their sons and fathers. My uncles were tortured. They even poured acid on them, this young boy tells us. Clutching photographs of the murdered men, the women and children left behind came together to grieve. This woman said as her husband was marched away, she sent her son after him with his slippers, but his abductor sent the child back with a chilling message. No need for slippers. He will come back dead. They were targeted for one reason alone. All were Sunnis. At a news conference with the U.S. ambassador, a prominent Sunni politician shouted that the mostly Shiite police force is behind many of the killings, a charge the police deny. And the killing isn't one-sided. An ambush in this western Baghdad suburb last month began with the execution of an entire Shiite family inside their home.
Can you tell me what this says?
CBS News was shown this pamphlet by a young man too afraid to reveal his face. It's an order for all Shiites to leave his neighborhood or be killed, given to him in broad daylight by masked terrorists.
What do you think will happen to you if you don't leave?
Of course I will die, of course.
The police did nothing, so within days a powerful Shiite militia struck back at the terrorists, raiding the same neighborhood. In much of Iraq, armed factions like this one operate beyond the law. These killings have created a climate of fear, fueled by the fact that no one is being held responsible. What's worse is no one seems either capable or, more importantly, willing to stop these murders from escalating into an all-out civil war. Lara Logan, CBS News, Baghdad.
Senate Republican leader Bill Frist today publicly defended his sale of stock in a hospital company founded by his father and brother. Frist had his blind trust sell the stock in HCA 2 weeks before the price plunged, but he denied today that he had inside information. The Justice Department and the Securities and Exchange Commission are investigating. In Pennsylvania today, the debate about whether public schools should teach alternatives to evolution went from the classroom to a federal courtroom. The court's hearing a lawsuit to stop the teaching of so-called intelligent design to explain life. Thalia Ashuris reports.
A year after Dover, Pennsylvania school board voted to introduce intelligent design in high school biology, outraged parents like Barry Callahan are in court.
Religion cannot be in science class. Science isn't about who. Science is about what, why, or how. It's not about who.
Backed by the ACLU, parents say the teaching of intelligent design is really the belief that God created life and violates the separation of church and state. Their opponents disagree.
What the theory of intelligent design says is, looking at the complex nature, it could not have happened by random chance. It could not have happened by Darwin's theory of natural selection.
80 years after the infamous Scopes monkey trial banned the teaching of evolution in public schools, advocates of intelligent design avoid words like God or religion and say simply, teach the controversy.
It's good education to allow students to know that there is a controversy surrounding biological evolution.
The controversy at this Dover high school is only the latest example of a nationwide culture war over teaching intelligent design along with Darwin's theory of evolution. But some observers say the anti-evolutionists are winning the public relations war. 14 states have introduced legislation in support of intelligent design. President Bush said recently both sides ought to be properly taught. And in a CBS News New York Times poll conducted last year, 65% of Americans said both creationism and evolution should be taught side by side.
I like the fact that our school allowed us to choose whether or not we wanted to hear it.
Dover science students have different opinions on the subject, but agree that intelligent design lessons should not be mandatory.
I think if you're going to teach it, it should be an elective class.
But for the adults, how to teach the origins of life and finding ways to compromise are still evolving through the courts. Thalia Ashuris, CBS News, Dover, Pennsylvania.
More stories are just a click away, but don't forget to join me on television for the on-air edition of the CBS Evening News. On Tuesday's broadcast, a deadly flu is threatening dogs. It's been found in animals from New York to Florida, and there is no vaccine yet. We'll have the story. For CBSNews.com, I'm Bob Schieffer.